Welcome to this short doorstep press meeting after I had a very fruitful and good discussion with my very honored colleague Boris. Thank you so much for being here in Denmark. I appreciate that a lot. We have visited Terma just some hours ago to discuss also further cooperation between the Danish industry and the German industry. But let me just start to underline the follow-up on the meeting last week in Hague. We are very committed together to do even more to scale up production here in Europe, also to invest even more together in capabilities. I think Denmark and Germany could do even more together. We have also discussed that during our meeting. We have also touched upon the further support for Ukraine. I think we are doing a lot together. Quite successfully, we have been donating quite many things together, military equipment. 2 years ago, I paid a visit to Berlin. At that time, we visited training activities on the Leopard 1, and thank you so much for that donation. It has been a very successful donation, and we have also been able to do even more together, and hopefully we can also do more in the future. I think it is indeed in our interest to support Ukraine with all the military equipment they need in the future. In Denmark, we have been able to invest directly into defense companies in Ukraine. The same has been mentioned that Germany are doing right now. And as I also mentioned last week, we will also invite hopefully some defense companies from Ukraine to start up production here in Denmark. Also to scale up the possibility to give more military equipment to Ukraine, and also to speed up the investments in the Danish defense and the armament. So Ukraine is indeed very much on our agenda, and it will also be on the agenda when we have the EU presidency. We will take the EU presidency and the role of that. We will take that leadership tomorrow, and the next 6 months we will have a focus on Ukraine and how to help Ukraine to fight for the freedom of Ukraine, but also the freedom of Europe. And then a second priority for the Danish presidency will also be how to scale up production. We have seen very strong German companies. Hopefully some of them could also be of interest to scale up production here in Denmark, maybe also to invest even more in Denmark. So that will also be a possibility of further cooperation. But once again, Boris, thank you so much for being here in Copenhagen. It is indeed a great pleasure for me, also with the strong and also very close cooperation that we have developed the last 2 years between Denmark and Germany.
Thank you very much, Troels. Guten Tag. Hello again. Thank you for your very warm welcome. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here in Copenhagen, the wonderful Copenhagen, not even because it's a beautiful city, but also because it's at least 10 up to 15 degrees colder than in Berlin. So thank you for that pause of the heat. And I really appreciate the possibility for our exchange with my colleague and friend Troels. I came in office in January 23 and you a couple of months later. And since then we really have established a very good cooperation, very close, very trustful and friendly. We met, last time we met was last week, a few days ago in The Hague. Denmark joined the Maritime Security Partnership for the North Atlantic between Norway, Canada and Germany. Thank you for that, welcome. And I'm really happy to have you on board, dear Troels. And I'm happy as well as 3 members of the German Federal Parliament are accompanying me, Frau Völlers, Frau Moll and Frau Herbstreit. Thank you very much for being with us here today. There is a lot of work that has to be done. We have to face the facts. Maritime threats are mounting, that's for sure. To name but a few, Russia is militarizing the Arctic, and we are seeing an increasing activity of Russian submarines operating in that area, especially around the strategically important Geook Gap. Hybrid attacks are becoming more frequent, in particular in the Baltic Sea. Anchors being dragged along the sea bottom, damaging undersea cables, jamming of GPS signals, and drones threatening our offshore wind parks. We need to be vigilant, and we have to be ready, not only on NATO's eastern flank, but also on the important northern flank. To that end, Denmark, Norway, Canada, and Germany want to push defense innovation and cooperation in the maritime field, especially in the areas of autonomous systems. And we will do so. We are committed to procuring and using the same systems. This will help us to reduce the costs, time, and bureaucracy, and it will strengthen our European defense industry, which is urgently needed. One important example is the joint procurement of Baltic Sea mines, together with our partners with whom we want to protect and control our coastal waters. As early as this year, Germany will show its presence in the North Atlantic and the Arctic. This national deployment goes by the name Atlantic Bear. One of our support ships, the Berlin, will go from Iceland to Greenland and then on to Canada. Along the route, we will exercise with our allies in the region, and we have planned the first port call of a German Navy ship to Nuuk in Greenland. We will then, for the first time, take part in the Canadian Arctic exercise, Nanook. In addition, we will deploy our maritime patrol aircraft, submarines, and frigates to demonstrate our commitment to that region. The members of parliament just arrived. I already welcomed you. Closer to home, we have to continue our work to increase security in the Baltic Sea. We can look back on a long tradition of close cooperation between our two navies. For example, when it comes to patrolling the areas adjacent to our territorial waters. And our navies just participated in Baltops, the biggest annual maritime exercise in the Baltic Sea. As for the damaging for the undersea cables, Denmark and Germany, you and I, are doing a lot to protect our critical undersea infrastructure. Together we are participating in NATO's enhanced vigilance activity, Baltic Sentry. Baltic Sentry improves allies' ability to respond to destabilizing acts, that is deterrence by presence. In addition, Denmark is represented with staff officers at headquarters of CTF Baltics in Rostock. Both are crucial for our maritime situational awareness and deterrence. As the initiative for critical industry infrastructure hubs that we launched last year, Germany has taken the lead for the Baltic Sea. And I'm grateful that Denmark is supporting us with data, and I'm grateful that you are also pushing the protection of critical undersea infrastructure in the Baltic Sea to be a topic for closer cooperation between EU and NATO. Looking towards to the east, I want to thank you personally for your leadership, and thank you for your being such a steadfast partner in supporting Ukraine. Not only steadfast, but also extremely innovative. Just like you, we are also trying to strengthen our cooperation with the Ukrainian defense industry. Supporting Ukraine in its fight is an indispensable contribution to defense in Europe. Tomorrow, you already mentioned it earlier, is kick-off day for the Danish EU Council presidency. You have set out an ambitious program for all of us, rightly so. Good luck. Denmark can count on our support in every day of your presidency. Let's make the most of the potential for close European cooperation to make sure we can uphold our promise last week, a stronger European pillar in NATO. Thank you.
Thank you. I understand you are building 6 submarines together with Norway. Norway are building 6 submarines as well. I have spoken to sources who have said that you have told Denmark that Denmark could join the German-Norwegian submarine project if we wanted to. Is that correct?
I don't know a particular offer, but it's absolutely evident. Then if Denmark would make up a decision, take a decision like that, it would be, of course, very much welcome to that cooperation at any time.
And then just the follow-up question. Do you think it would strengthen the security and the deterrence in the Baltic Sea if Denmark joined the Norwegian-German submarine project?
Any contribution would help to increase and to improve our security of the Baltic Sea, but that is a national decision of Denmark.
Steffen Trump from the German news agency DPA. I ask in English if that's okay. A question regarding Greenland to both of you. The NATO allies recently agreed on the 5% target, with which they met Trump's demands for higher military spending, obviously. Do you think that this concession will reduce or take some of the pressure off the whole Greenland debate, and meaning the US will be less vocal in its insistence on taking over Greenland?
Maybe I could start. In Denmark, we have been able to invest heavily in the Kingdom of Denmark, also in the Arctic region. We agreed on a newly investment plan in January, and later this week we will continue also going forward with further investments in the Arctic area. And I think that's the best way to show that, of course, we are willing to invest more here in Denmark, but also together with our partners in NATO. And the outcome of the discussions in NATO is, in fact, also, and I'd like to thank you, Boris, for that, we have discussed that quite much, that NATO should be more aware of this situation in the Arctic, and that has been a common goal between Germany and Denmark for quite many months.
In the first place, I would like to highlight that nobody in The Hague, I think almost nobody in The Hague, agreed to the new pledge of 5% in order to meet Donald Trump's demands on that issue. We all did that because we see the necessity to fulfill our NATO requirements in the years to come, and that we have to spend more in the years to come than we did in the years before, much more. This is an agreement we had in The Hague and already before. So I think that won't have any impact on any other interests of the United States of America. But what I see is what we hear from Washington in that issue get less and less in the last weeks. And what I see at the same time is very much strong signals of solidarity with Denmark and Greenland at the same time. So therefore, we are planning to go to Greenland in September together too, because I want to see Greenland, I want to show our solidarity, and I want to show what I mentioned already last year when I went to Norway and Sweden. It's not only about what I mentioned earlier about the eastern flank. It's about the northern flank. It's about the Arctic. I talked about the militarization by Russia. So we need to be present in the northern Atlantic and in the Arctic too. And this is a joint interest between Denmark, Greenland, Canada, and the US, and many other states in Europe, especially in Northern Europe, including Germany. We are living at the Northern Sea and at the Baltic Sea. We have a core interest in having a free navigation in the North Atlantic and a secure Northern Atlantic. Therefore, it's about investing more and showing more presence in the North Atlantic together with our American allies.
Sebastian, does it work? Okay. Sebastian Heinrich, AFP from Berlin. Okay, I'll speak English too, so it's more polite thing I think for the colleagues. Mr. Pistorius, how confident are you about the 5%? You already talked about that. About the strength of the commitment. We've already seen Spain wobbling around a bit with 5% goal, and the US is not as the US is not such a sure partner as it was in the past. So how confident are you in the strength of the mutual commitments in NATO. And a question to Minister Paulsen. How happy are you as Danish defense minister with the so-called Zeitenwende in Germany, with how it's playing out, this huge shift in defense policy in Germany?
I'm very much confident.
And I can just add that I think Germany has been doing a tremendous job during the last years also to speed up investments in the different areas, to have more capabilities. I think Boris Pistorius has been a leading example for that. He has a very, very strong role in that discussion in Germany, and I'd like to emphasize how important it is. Denmark and Germany are closely linked together. We could do even more also to have investments together in the capabilities. We have not been able to do that so much in the past. I think we could do that more in the future. I think in the maritime atmosphere we have a lot to do together. We are right now in Denmark discussing investing in new frigates. That's on the table right now, but also on surveillance, on the issue about the Baltic area, Baltic Sea, sharing information, data. Much more could be done together with Germany. Oh, sorry about that.
Signe Vestergaard from the Danish business newspaper Børsen. You mentioned the Danish frigates that are about to be built at some point. And as far as I understand, some German shipyards have also expressed interest in maybe getting that assignment. Does this maritime partnership that Denmark has now joined enhance the probability of this task being sent to Germany?
The reason why we joined this new maritime partnership is in fact to have a stronger cooperation between the countries that was just mentioned by Boris Pistorius. We have not made any decisions about the frigates yet. We have to do that, and it's also very important to have that discussion, but also that decision made in the near future. But we have not agreed on giving some German yards the possibility of building frigates in Denmark. That was not a discussion on the meeting.
Tim Lieberknecht, ProSiebenSat.1. I'm from Berlin as well. A question to you, Mr. Paulsen. You talked about the EU Council presidency already. What are your more concrete goals when it comes to European defense industry? And would you consider EU bonds a good tool to boost European defense production?
Hopefully, during the next 6 months, Denmark could play a leading role to facilitate a discussion, but also hopefully decisions about investments in scale-up production facilities in defense areas around in Europe. I think we have to step up. Now we have decided to spend more together, but I see still quite many difficulties to, in fact, establish production facilities. So I think now we have to show that we could make decisions about direct investments, so we in the near future also will see more production here in Europe. Okay, one more question.
Introduce myself in the beginning. I'm Peter Ernst Rasmussen from a niche media called Alfie and Radio 4 in Denmark. I'd like to ask the Danish Minister of Defense. Now you have heard the invitation to join the Norwegian-German submarine project. Have you, by now going towards 5%, have you any arguments left for not joining the German-Norwegian submarine project?
As I told you yesterday, or not yesterday, didn't speak to you yesterday, but last week in The Hague, we don't have any decisions on being able to have submarines. But this meeting and the outcome of this meeting was very successful because we agreed that we should do more on sharing data and also information. So I think that's the most imminent outcome of the meeting. We can do more together, and I think the reason why Boris Pistorius is also together as members of the Parliament, and thank you so much for being here. The reason for being here is in Copenhagen is also to underline that Denmark and Germany has much more to do together.
I would like to make one remark more, because it's not only about procuring more together of the same. It's about procuring the right stuff at the right place and at the right moment, and then to use it jointly. For example, when it comes to the P8 Poseidon, it's about using it together. Not each NATO member needs a P8 Poseidon or even 3 of it. So if the bigger countries have 2 or 3 or even more of them, we can share the benefit of it. So this is what we are talking about when it comes to more cooperation, interoperability, and producing more bang from the buck. This is what we are talking about. Not every country needs to have submarines or the same aircraft or the same systems. This is about cooperation, and we need more of that in the years to come.
Thank you so much.